Hi, it's Kirby and Todd from Inside Political Science on KAMU. It's Election Day. Finally, our long election season is about to be over. I'm super excited to see what happens later today. Maybe not today, maybe into tomorrow and the end of the week. What are you looking for, though, Todd, today to see how the election is going, who's winning, who's losing?
Well, one thing that's really interesting to me is just the change in the way elections take place, and that is so many people voting early. 75 million have already voted, which is half of the people that voted in 2020. So I'm looking to, as we look at Election Day today, are the turnouts big, or are we seeing a reduction because everybody voted early? So I think it's going to be interesting if there's new people coming to the table, and will we exceed the voting totals from 2020?
Yeah, this early voter turnout is critical and very important to the election campaigns. First, the campaigns are focused on these voters, trying to get them out early so that they don't come in at the last minute, because things can happen that last weekend or that last day that could change someone's mind. And getting someone to the polls early helps to assure that your people are there and they've already voted. But what that also does is it raises the possibility of what happens on Election Day, and it matters. It matters in terms of who wins and loses, right?
According to some of the polls that I saw leading up to today, about 6% of men and 6% of females say that they are still thinking about who to vote for, which to me is you have to question whether they're actually going to vote or not. But there is still some room for movement. But also, there's so many interesting things happening below the scenes here. Over the past few elections, we've seen this kind of transformation of the parties, where the party of Ronald Reagan has now become really a different party. And I think the Democrat Party has changed also. We see this in the numbers, where the polls showing that increasing number of minorities leaning towards Trump, not a majority, but just an increasing number, but also Democrats winning among college-educated voters, and Trump winning among those without a college education. So we've seen this kind of idea, is the Republican Party the party of the working man now?
Yeah, once upon a time, the Republican Party, the party of Reagan, was the party of small government, low taxes, and big business. The Democratic Party was the party of labor, the party of the working class. Now that's at least, at a minimum, it's all confused, and we no longer have a clear signal as to what the parties are. The Republican Party increasingly picking up among the working class, and the Democratic Party increasingly getting support for big business. This could represent a fundamental restructuring of the political parties that will last long past Trump and Kamala Harris.
You know, I think what we've seen labor not making endorsements this year, which was very interesting, kind of following on that pattern.
We've been focusing on what's going on at the presidential level so much that we almost forget that there are down ballot races and presidents can't just do anything, right?
Oh, that's exactly right. It is so close in the House and the Senate. If you look at Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, there are significant Senate races that are going to determine maybe not who controls the Senate, but how much they control the Senate. And these are very important for the next 4 years for whoever wins the presidency.
Yeah, right now, if I have to bet, I bet that Republicans win the Senate. That seems, I would be surprised if Democrats maintain control of the Senate, given what races are up, given the candidates, given the play that we're looking across. The path for Republicans to gain control of the Senate, it's pretty wide. They're almost certainly going to win the Senate, and the question is, how big will their majority be? The House of Representatives, if I have to bet, I'm a little less certain, but I would still bet it goes to the Democrats, which means a Trump president has to deal with a Democratic House, a Kamala Harris presidency has to deal with a Republican Senate, and maybe a Republican House.
No, I would agree with you. I think that the House is a little more difficult for Republicans. It's interesting, if you look at polls, everybody loves their member of the House or their congressman. They hate Congress, and so but the reelection rate is over 90%.
One of the things that's troubling me, Todd, we talk about democracy being on the ballot. We talk about this being the most important election ever. But this isn't the first time that democracy's been on the ballot, right?
No. If you look back over the history of elections, every election is contentious because everybody wants to win and get the power that comes with being the president of the United States. So this is nothing new, but we tend to, because it's recent, and it's the most prevalent thing in our lives right at this point. We think it's the worst.
Yeah, and the campaigns want to play into this. They want you to fear for the future, that because this is what drives people to the polls. If I tell you my opponent is a threat to democracy, that gets people mobilized, that gets people engaged, that gets people to give money. And so there's an incentive for the campaigns. On the media side, there's an incentive to get you to watch, to click, to view by building this up. But it is important because we don't know what the future holds, but we have had important elections before, and democracy has been on the ballot before.
Exactly. And I would argue that it's on the ballot every time. You know, that there's always something that when you have two parties going at each other, the beauty of our system is, according to the Constitution, power is transferred. And I fully expect to see that happen again.
Yeah, the one challenge, the one thing that's very different is we do have social media, and because of social media, there's going to be a lot of misinformation out there. I'm going to give some advice to our listeners that I'm not going to follow. Try to stay off of X and Twitter and social media, and don't get sucked into the misinformation campaigns. It's an exciting day, and we'll be watching right alongside with you, and we'll be back in a few days to talk about and analyze the results. Subscribe to Inside Political Science on your favorite podcast platform to get notified every time there's a new episode.